break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. Taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you, I ain't never. So let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. Taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you, I ain't here to make.
Welcome to the Opinions of the Uninformed podcast. I am, of course, your pod host, Jamie, or Firefly Zero. I am joined by my usual crew, which is Rich.
Live Convoy, how you all doing?
And TJ.
Proper TJ, hello.
Right, guys, so as usual, we'll be talking about our usual subject with it for this current season, which is, of course, The Last of Us. We're on episode 8, which was titled When We Are in Need. Now, obviously, I know that both of you will be absolutely itching your faces off to talk about this absolutely incredible episode. But before that, let's see how everyone's been doing. So, how's your week been, TJ?
Yeah, not been too bad. I went cinema to see Cocaine Bear with my nephews,
Cool.
which...
You gotta tell me. It's
okay,
great.
Right, if you like...
Spoiler-free
ridiculous,
review.
cheesy, like stupid films, then it is like everything you could ever dream it could be. I love a bit of cheese, like Piranha and Piranha 3D. I went to cinema, see them, loved them. Thought they were amazing films. Just those kind of like tongue in cheek, just absolute jokes.
Eat your popcorn.
Yeah,
Watch your movie.
It's got the whole This Generation's Big Trouble in Little China sort of fucking vibes.
It's ridiculous, and some of the stuff you just look. It's so ludicrous. It's brilliant. Awesome. I really enjoyed it, and it was nice. Obviously, it's Ray Liotta's last ever film as well, and I class Ray Liotta as like an amazing actor. Maybe not so much in modern times for like the younger generation would see Ray Liotta as more like a bit part actor in smaller films, but when you think of like Goodfellas and stuff like that, the guy was amazing.
He was iconic in any role that he did. For me, for video gamers, by the way, he was, of course, the voice of the main protagonist in GTA, I suppose it'd be 3, Vice City. He was the main voice. What's his name? Vincetti, I think his name was. Vincetti?
Yeah.
There you
Tommy
go.
Vincetti, wasn't it?
Tommy Vincetti, that's it.
Yeah. Bad boy. Yeah.
And then...
Slick.
So that was really good. And other than that, we just had a little bit of light dust in the snow here, but nothing too bad. So I've been freezing my little cockles off while out of work. So all good.
We had our usual complete like half a foot of snow that was there for one whole day and then gone. As if it never existed at all. Just feeling what I've been doing. Obviously, this week. There was a lot of video game things. Capcom did their thing. We'll be talking about that tomorrow. There was a great demo drop for Resident Evil 4, which I played through, which I thought was really, really good. A lot of improvements to the game. A lot of similarities to the original game as well, for those that worry everything's going to change. You can obviously go and download that on whatever your console is at the moment, unless it's a Switch. Pardon me. And then you'd struggle.
Okay.
So, Rich, what have you been up to? Been up to anything, dude?
It's just been pretty intense week, to be fair, because first week, new job, going into like real high level management, it's just so much to take in, and it's almost such a cultural shift again, because there was such I've worked like front of house, like customer facing jobs my whole life, and transitioning into like a corporate, office based thing was really weird and strange, but I kind of settled in and really found my feet there, and then sort of transitioning back into, another on your feet sort of forward facing thing. Yeah, it's challenging, man, but it's it's good fun. It's good fun. There's a lot to learn, and it's like I always, as you well know, I dislike not knowing everything. So when I've got something to sink my teeth into, I'm always happiest when I'm doing like 19 different projects at once.
Yes, I do know that about you. So, any other business guys, or do you want to jump into this? Can only be described as an incredible.
Let's get it on.
I think we've got enough to talk about. Yeah.
Right. So, just to quickly give some housekeeping for it. Of course, this is The Last of Us on the HBO specials, or made by HBO. This is episode 8. We are in need. It brings across, of course, one of the characters from the game, Troy Baker, who played the original Joel in the video game, did the voice work and the motion capture for. He played
sensational fucking job, by the way.
Yeah, yes, he did. He was
sensational.
Phenomenal voice work and motion capture work from him. I thought he was pretty good in his acting role as James.
Yeah, it was great.
So
Yep,
Troy
very much
Baker was
so.
playing as James. Gotta say, Scott Sheppard absolutely fucking nailed David.
Boy.
Absolutely nailed David.
Boy.
Right, so I will say just a little bit of news that I heard. A lot of people are calling for Bella Ramsey to get an Emmy for her role as Ellie, which I could 100% get behind. 100% could get behind. For her age, her talent is unbelievable.
Fucking-knowable.
Knows no bounds at this stage,
no
I would
bounds.
say.
Yeah, it just shocking. Shockingly good.
Right.
Shockingly good for any age.
Yeah.
Like, let alone that age.
Exactly.
I will, just to give you a brief of what the show was, episode aired on March the 6th, 2023. It is for the age range of 15 and above. It ran for approximately 50 minutes. The synopsis says, Ellie crosses paths with a vengeful group of survivors and draws the attention of its leader. A weakened Joel faces a new threat. It was directed by Ali Abbasi, and writers were, of course, Neil Druckmann and Craig Matzin. Stars, of course, were Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, and Scott Sheppard was probably the next highest name on this one. Although I'd say Troy Baker probably deserves a little bit of a mention of that.
Oh, definitely.
To give you a little bit of key, IMDb rating for this currently, 38,000 views, reviews is 9.4 out of 10. I'd probably get behind that if I'm
second highest so far of the series.
Yeah. This is the second highest.
9.5, I think, was the highest we've had.
Right, cool. So, guys, without further ado, let's get into our uninformed opinions of this show. So I'm going to throw it over to... I'm going to go for Rich, I think. We'll go for Rich.
As you said, sensational episode. Although, right, there are a couple of things I'm going to write about here because there was quite a bit of Hollywoody bullshit in it. Like the whole, I'm just going to inject you in random places and it's going to cure you. Fuck off. It doesn't work like that. You know, I've just woken up and I'm a fucking superhero and I'm going to smash 3 guys, torture them, and then do a 4-mile trek in the fucking snow to save someone in a village where I saw nobody.
That is very video game, though, isn't it? That's
thing.
Look, whereas I agree, he shouldn't be able to smash them 3 guys, but I fucking love every fucking second.
Yeah, it was awesome. Guys. And then also the Ellie she's so fucking smart. That scene where she holds up David and James, and she does all of the right things. Back 10 feet, unloads all the guns. Fucking that girl is like a maverick in terms of survival. Do you know what I mean? She has come so far over the course of the series. It is ridiculous. But then to make the stupid mistake of not covering your tracks going back to your base is ridiculous.
I think that was more that she was, I need to get back and heal.
Emotional panic. I sort of get it, but again, it just feels like just such a weird shift.
But would that not be the fact that she is only 15, so you can be forgot?
Yeah, like you can be forgiven that she makes errors. She's
not, and as we're saying, she's not a seasoned vet, is she? Yeah. This is like she's learnt this on the fly over the last few months. So
I get what you're saying, but you can't tell me that covering your tracks isn't 101 one of the first things Joel taught her in the snow.
Yeah, I get that.
So
but then being a parent, I understand.
I think by itself I probably wouldn't have been, but there's obviously this combination of stuff. And if in any other show, Jay will tell you, I'd be like, nah, episode was bullshit. But holy hell, it was fucking like the acting in it was just something else. What Scott Sheppard did with David was chilling. The way he flipped between the two, like when he's having that meeting in the cabin sort of with Ellie around the fire, and he just gradually starts getting more sinister, and he's like was killed by a girl traveling with a guy, and you're just like, holy hell, your energy is tension. And it was the whole fucking stealth section of Ellie like hiding from him in the burning building was just unbelievable. And I'm glad
straight from the game, man. It was so good.
It was ridiculous just how cock on Like, oh, such a limey bastard when he was talking to her in the cell and stuff as well. It was really good. I really liked that it didn't flat out imply the sort of his sort of sexual motivations or even the cannibalism until very late in the episode.
No.
It just very heavily implied it. So I think like it's hard going in from an objective standpoint because I know, but like I feel like you'd be able to get that without being told it.
I mean,
you know,
I definitely got a little bit of a vibe, when he's talking to the young girl in the church at the start.
Yeah,
and like just how he was focused on her. I was like, don't get me wrong, that could be that I already have prior knowledge, but like I did see it and went, ooh.
Yeah, not cool.
Yeah.
Bella Ramsey's acting is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't the savage scene. I was gobsmacked. I was absolutely gobsmacked. And then just the way she dealt with seeing Joel.
Yeah.
And like I'm not ashamed to say when Joel grabbed that and hugged that and says, "Baby girl," I burst into tears. I was just like, "You're there. You're actually there now." You know what I mean? Yeah, just absolutely fucking extraordinary, sensational episode.
Man, definitely.
Yeah, to the point where when I'm looking back, I know there's obviously recency bias because like I only finished it today because I actually struggle to watch sort of TV shows. So a lot of the time I break them in two. Like I watch half of it one day, find a good breaking point, and watch the other half the next day, just to keep myself engaged. Because I don't. The last thing I want to do is half-ass something. And yeah, so I finished it today, and I'm like, it might be my favorite episode of the show, just because I think what they did with David was leaps and bounds way better than in the game. It was honestly what a villain. Just in the annals of great TV fucking villainy, man. That motherfucker like creeped me out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be honest. I'd be about to say that like you could be any person, and the way that he was talking to Ellie would just be like, I can't deal with like how tense this motherfucker.
Yeah, bro,
like...
this is like horrible, man. Like actually, it's almost like you're seeing like some Tarantino films, where like Inglourious Bastards, where the first scene you've got like the Jew hunter having the milk around the table, and all they're doing is having milk and a discussion, but it's like someone's got thumb screws on you and they're fucking turning it, man, because it's just you can feel the tension ratcheting up, and there was so much of that in this episode. Extraordinary. It's like it's almost like the acting Olympics. Like I always like Westworld. For me, the first season of Westworld is probably the best acted TV show I've ever seen. Like it was just something else.
Yep.
But I'm really feeling that this is sort of like coming sort of behind it.
Oh yeah.
Exceptional.
I will definitely say that as adaptations go from video game to TV, that this is not only nailed what its source material was, but it's actually enhanced it for me
and improved
in a lot of ways. I mean, don't get me wrong, the sewer missing and certain scenes missing. I get that they are important, but they never felt pivotal, and they've sort of turned what wouldn't have been pivotal into something pivotal, and they've turned things that were pivotal into an even more like greater. It's gone beyond what it is, and I think, although I do worry that we had a couple of episodes where we started to lose a little bit of focus on Joel and Ellie, and we are looking at other people a lot. But this one certainly, like, even though there wasn't much Joel, but like you say, that last sort of 5-10 minutes where like you see like the desperation of a man.
Yeah.
Like, and as I say, the way she looked absolutely panicked, and you saw her eyes sort of focus and realize who it was. Fucking, bravo! Please give. I believe she goes into she, isn't it?
Yeah, she sees herself as she. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's non-binary, but I think she uses the
she's
she pronouns.
Yeah.
She, her. Yeah.
Yeah, like please give out awards. Like if there aren't awards applicable, then invent them.
Yeah.
Because like she genuinely fucking deserves it, man. Like
I
to the
mean,
point where I think she's better than Pedro is as Joel at this point.
yeah, I'd probably agree. I mean, don't get me wrong, Pedro is killing it.
Yeah, but wow,
But you can tell it's very much it's an Ellie story, even though we started with Joel and had very much. But I'll be honest, it started with Joel's daughter.
Yeah.
And so it has kept the female protagonist, I think, all the way through. I think females have been very heavily encouraged in this, which is good, because the game itself, although you play as Joel, your feelings are always towards Ellie, always towards Sarah, always towards the female in Joel's life
yeah. Well, weirdly they're either for them or they're the main antagonist.
Yeah.
With the exception of this episode, like obviously had sort of David, but yeah, every episode very much has had a strong female lead. And to be honest with you, what better thing can you think of than completely bursting any sort of gender barrier than the end of the fucking world? That would eradicate that sort of shit very fucking quickly.
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think so. I mean,
so I've rambled for fucking ages, so I feel like TJ deserves. I
think it's fair. Go on, TJ.
Right.
Hit me with your review stick.
Rhythm stick.
Okay. Mate, if I hit you with my rhythm stick, mate, you ain't getting up. It's that big. It's that big and that heavy, boys.
Let's just go and ask what
me with a good time.
Let's go and ask what the proper queen says about
that. Right. Okay. Yeah. So agree with like pretty much everything you say. I kind of I feel. I'm glad you touched on the point about the injecting the penicillin. It was just like, where do I jab it? Here will do. 2 injections is all you're going to need. I ain't got a clue how much I'm giving you. I'm just going to random, guessimize here. Like, this ain't, you can't OD from this shit, surely. I ain't got a clue what I'm doing. I'll just jab it in here. It'll be fine. You fucking,
I'm 14,
whatever.
I'll figure this out.
And then the fact that, like you say, he goes on and, you could be forgiven for maybe taking 1 or 2 out. But the fact that, so it is, you're right, point for point, with the game, even down to that like mini torture scene where
mini torture scene was so good though,
so great. I was hoping they. I was hoping.
I was terrified for him.
Well, when he's got like it's probably one of the best things I've seen in that kind of is when he's got one tied up and he says to him like, point to me on the map where they are, and then I'm going to ask him, and if he don't point out the same place, you're fucked.
You're dead.
And it was like, I was so happy they put that in because that was such a great point. Because it's like, it was brilliant. It was just, you don't normally just like, tell me where it is. Oh, thanks. And like, that's it sort of thing. But, and then when it's just like, he killed that guy and it was like, why'd you kill him? It was like, because I believe him.
You're also fucked.
Yeah. And then, like you say, he goes out on a fucking country trek just through the snow. Don't worry about this like wound that you nearly died from.
There was speed, PCP, steroids, the whole shebang.
That wasn't penicillin in that bottle. That wasn't penicillin. Right, I do have to say, I feel that there is one person that needs. We've given him a little bit of mention, but Troy Baker.
Oh yeah.
So James in the game is very much like an afterthought. He's there with David. David's like, go and get the penicillin. He comes back. The gun thing where he's like, why am I giving her this? And he's like, no, James. Like that happens in the game. And then there's that little bit where she attacks him and with the hatchet and whatnot when they're going to kill her. But I think the extra little bits they added in there really like flushed out the character. As in like James kind of felt like a. He was David's right-hand man, but he had reservations about everything that was happening, which was
wasn't happy, but there wasn't a better option.
And I just felt that was portrayed really, really well because that never comes across in the game. Like I say, James is a nothing character essentially in the game, and I feel they gave it a little bit more legs because it was Troy Baker. If they'd just got whoever to act it, like you have to give Troy Baker a little bit more of a not a substantial role, but a role that has got like some depth to it because of how much he means to the material.
The franchise?
Yeah, the franchise, exactly.
And the fandom completely.
Yeah. So I'm really glad they did that. I loved. Okay, so Scott, I said last week, and like I wanted them to flush out the David character because for me he's one of the best characters in the game. He's one of the best villains in for such a short amount of time that you see him in the game as well, because he's not a big character in the game. It's like because it moves in sections.
No, but he's a monster.
He is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm so happy they flushed him out. Cause like I say, like he's one of my favourite villains in any video game that I've played, and now he's one of my favourite villains in anything I've watched at least recently that I can remember.
And another shout out to Scott Sheppard because Jesus Christ.
Well, he like the slow burn that they gave him was fantastic. You know, like you get a villain and it's like straight away, bam, they make this big grandiose entrance. I am like
killing
I am the man, I am evil personified, you don't mess with me. And he's not. He's like this subtly getting more and more and more, and he kind of drags you in at first because you're like,
he's charismatic.
Yeah,
he's the worst villain because he's charismatic.
Like the little subtleties that he pulls with his face and everything, and like you kind of feel. I get what you were saying about when he spoke to that girl at the church at the start. You get kind of like cult leader vibes. That's like. You get like kind of like, you know, like the cult leaders that take like 5 or 6 wives, and it's like, you know, you're not allowed to sleep with your own wife because I'm going to sleep with her, and then you know all the like weird ones. And like he's very much along that lines, and it is very subtle. I loved it when they went out and they're all eating, and the camera is such, like we say, the cinematography in this series is phenomenal. Yeah. And the way that you don't know, we know, but you don't know because all they turn around and say is, "Oh, we've just got some venison left," and that, and we don't know that they're eating people. But once he brings out meat and it's like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, it's venison," and you're like, if you're just casually
the looks between them, and then when he says in the hall, and this is about the venison, and the guy, and he looks at one of the guys. But the thing is,
if you're only watching,
they're talking about the dead body, aren't they? They're talking about the dad.
But if you're only watching it, if you're not like engrossed in it, or you don't know already, they do it so subtly well that you could just miss it completely. Yep. You can miss this look. You can miss like the inflection and the way they say things. You can miss that, and then it's like it all like hits you even harder later on when you're like, oh well, fuck, they're eating people, you know, because you. But the little poignant bits where it's like, oh, they're all eating, and the camera goes boom, 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 and all the people like scrapping down their food, and they're just like, we all know, and we're like. Oh.
There's a weird bit of me, you know, that is actually a little upset that I've played the game.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
Because I feel that experiencing this story like this is like it's a phenomenal way to experience it.
Would you say? I mean, obviously we've all played it, but would it be akin to something like your Red Wedding shock when you see that ear?
Oh, the Red Wedding,
and you have everything.
You never saw that come in.
That I still think is possibly the biggest shock in TV history. Like, the funny thing is, I completely knew it was coming because I
read the books as well. But
I actually watched it with a group of people, and I didn't watch the TV. I just watched them.
It's like where she touches his arm and lifts the thing, and you see the chainmail underneath the clothes, and you're like, oh fuck, something's going down.
That's one of the few things that's actually considerably worse in the TV show than it is in the book, because his wife isn't there. And like in the TV show, she gets jucked in the fucking stomach straight off the bat, doesn't she? And she's pregnant. And it's like, come on, man. There's no fucking around.
I mean, she did get killed in the TV show. In the book, she's alluded to being killed, or was she killed? Can't remember, Rich.
No, she's not. She's not there. She's still alive. She's doing something else.
I don't know if it was alluded to, and she had an heir, and that was going to come into play or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, no,
it's been a long time.
Pregnant with his child.
Yeah, I know she was pregnant, definitely 100%. I know she wasn't there, but I was like, didn't they jut her later?
I can't believe it's been that long since I fucking read it, because it's been that long since there was a cunting book released.
Believe.
Going back to The Last of Us, I felt as well like another little scene that you had was when he goes back and they bring the buck, and the girl turns around and says, "Oh, we should kill him," or where you know.
Oh
and he goes over and backhands her, and it's like, you'll always have like a dad or a father. And it's like, oh, you're creepy.
When he said that,
within the. Sorry, I was just to say, it's all within the allurement of like God and the higher power and everything. No, I don't think that's what
that makes it. That makes it far more sincere. Well, all that went through my mind when he said that was That's like horrendous "Call Me Daddy" vibes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do you know what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
It's like,
yeah, exactly.
fucking.
And then, and
Oh,
I just,
I need to scrub my brain with bleach and wire wool to remove
I-
the fucking stain of that. You know what I mean?
and you know, the whole like the seeing of the ear as well was a great moment.
Yeah.
Like you could see it in her face, and then his reaction was like, "Hey, I was hoping to that we like a little bit longer before we go over that, you know." And
I mean, again though, but he comes across when he's talking to her after that, after the year. I'm only bringing it because he's right at this point. And he's there going, "We would have told you," and I'm like, "Bro, like you charismatic motherfucker, you still, even after she's seen an ear, you are still going." Nah, don't worry about that. Look at me. Look at the eyes. Look at the eyes.
Do you know why it's so well cast? Because if you've ever watched any documentaries about these people that are in the cults and that groom people to be in cults and that, they're exactly like this. Their mannerisms, like the way they speak, the way they put themselves across, the way they make the other person. He's there trying to make like Ellie, like he's like propping Ellie up.
Ellie.
Well,
he wants Ellie, doesn't he?
propping
The
Ellie
weird.
up.
He wants
To give her like a feeling of like oh I'm wanted, I'm needed and everything, which for a lot of people would fall for it. A lot of people would be and they would take
end of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially end of the world.
That's why I think it's so well done. I mean, I don't know if the guy's going to do a better job in anything else he ever does from now on, to be honest.
Scott Sheppard,
well, there was not a
take your
second in that
bow,
where you feel
walk
like
off
it's
stage,
an
mate.
actor playing something. It's a fully realised character. It's like that is a creepy dude called David that chops people up and serves them to people and has a weird penchant for young girls.
I do,
you know.
I do just have one thing, right? At what stage do you turn around and go, okay, she's launched like a log that's on fire and it's this curtain? At what point do you just go, rip the curtain down, stamp it? The fire is never going to happen. It takes you 2 seconds. You know the door's locked, so she can't get out. Why the fuck would you just let it burn? And that is the quickest burn I've ever seen in my life. It's like, oh, there's a curtain burning. Now the beams on the ceiling are on fucking fire. I'm like, the fuck? Are they like painted with gasoline or something here? What is going on?
It's not like there's 10 foot of snow outside or anything like that, you know.
When he's turned, and the thing is, he even looks at it, and he looks at the curtain that's on fire and goes, huh. Oh, anyway,
what his initial fucking thought when he saw that thing is just, this whole building is wood. This is a really, really bad situation right now.
That was probably more for me than like the whole like Joel thing, because it's like, I get the Joel thing. You kind of have to do the Joel thing. Yeah, because
he's got to win.
Yeah, you can't. But it's still,
it's bad. It's bad. But just I look at that and I was like, why would you not, like common sense? You go and pull the fucking curtain down. It takes you 2 seconds. You know, and the thing, you know, she can't get out because the door's locked.
If the doors are locked, wouldn't you just leave and lock the door behind you, because she's either going to die or smash a window?
I think.
And then
but then you're still losing. Yeah, but then you're still losing the building, and essentially that's the building where their food is stored and everything as well. So it's like you're writing everything off at that point, aren't you?
Guys, you're forgetting one important thing, which is the mental state of that man. He's not. Doesn't care about anything else that's going on. This little girl,
creepy child intentions on his mind,
mate,
didn't he?
It's more than that. This man was being shamed by a little girl. That just won't stand. It's not about winning or losing. That just won't stand.
Yeah,
I suppose. Yeah, going back to when he slaps that little girl, she kind of like not stood up to him, but she kind of like challenged him a little bit.
She called him out.
And that, and he didn't like that, and he gave her the backhand. So yeah, you can imagine what Ellie breaking his hand, and then he's like, "Well, I'll get my and
then killing his right hand man."
Well, it's like you've broken my finger, so I will now kill you, and that will show my dominance. But he hasn't even been able to do that, has he?
She goaded him the second that she
tell him Ellie broke your finger. Yeah. Which is in the game as well. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Tell him the little girl Ellie broke your finger.
So like that whole scene, that whole end scene, like when I get it, like, because he's blind to everything else that's going on. Like I would almost argue that
tunnel vision.
Yeah, the molestation again was more of a, I'm gonna do this so you know that I'm the boss.
Yeah,
and like it was the vision he had. I mean, fair play to his acting, like the vision he had and how she reacted. I was like, man, I'm terrified for him. Terrified for her, like, because like he had like the lust. It was like I say, he was blind to everything. The fact that the building was burning
But
meant nothing.
he honestly looked like he was quite happy to carry
Die.
on while being burned to death.
It
Do you
wouldn't
know
have
what I
mattered. It was
Yeah.
about his mental state.
He
And, like,
needed to show dominance over this little
Exactly.
girl who has challenged him.
Well, it broke his finger. Just simply broke his finger. That was enough for him to go, I'm going to dominate you to such a point where you're at such a level of subservience. I want to see you shrill away. And the main thing that a man at the end of the world would do, especially when he's willing to eat people, is molesting a little girl would mean
fuck all, wouldn't it? Really, yeah.
nothing.
And the thing is, you know how it goes, don't you? Because like we've seen enough programs, heard enough about cults that like they would have turned a blind eye to him because he just said, "Oh, the Lord has told me that," you know, because he's a direct disciple. What I tell you one thing I did really like is one line that he said, and I can't remember if it's in the game, but the line where he turns around and said about her having a violent mind. And he's got a violent mind as well. I really like that. Like him comparing here to, and you kind of like, you sit back and you look at it and you're just like, I can see, I can see why he's like, for like him, why he feels that she would be good as his right hand. Like having her by his side, kind of.
We saw her as a bulldog.
Beneficial.
Yeah, he saw her as a bulldog. He thought like, I can let her off a chain and she'll destroy anything I put her at. Because it's that solid snake thing. If you know the meaning, it's the determination to win. It's not about like, I mean, I'm not going to go into the part 2, but part 2 shows it a lot. Like Ellie's determination to win is what drives her all the time. Yeah, and it's that drive that you should fear, because someone who's got nothing to lose is a very scary fucking thing.
Yeah. Well, they're waiting to put it all on the line, aren't they?
Yeah, 100. Well, they've got to. It's put it all on the line or die.
Yeah, just.
And they're not bothered about the outcome. It's not like the outcome matters. It's I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win, dying if needs be.
That was like that. That was a pivotal. That's a pivotal moment for her character as well. That where she finishes David off, and it's just like the over the top aggression that she shows.
The rage, man.
Like it's been simmering and simmering and simmering. She finally let it all out, and that's why I kind of feel like I'm glad they put the DLC in, because it kind of, you can understand like her rage even more, because.
Well, she thinks she's about to lose 2 people she loves.
Yeah. You know, she's already lost one. You know,
that's what I mean.
knows she's lost Riley, I think her name was. She lost Riley, and then it's like, I'm going to lose Joel, and then it's like, well, you know, and essentially, and that, like you say, when they go outside and he grabs her, and the realization that it's Joel and he's alive and he's here, and it's, you know, it's come full circle, isn't it?
Yeah, interesting point actually related to what you've just said. I've just noticed actually it was really cool because, like, as you say, you've seen this build-up of Ellie sort of, you know, she started as quite a, she was foul-mouthed and everything, but she was quite a naive child, wasn't she? And she's developed all these skills and...
Well, that's Joel though, isn't it? That's the Joel.
Yeah, and she's a very intimidating person now, you know, and I feel like you had this crescendo where she, you know, where she finished David rather violently, and you let all this aggression and rage that's been building up from everything we've seen on beforehand, and then it was almost like she'd reverted back to a child again.
Yeah,
like at the end, and it was it was just like her. You know, phenomenal.
So well done.
Acting.
And I mean, like, I know you've spoke before about like the locations and the.
I mean, set design.
The set design. That's what I was looking for. That like the restaurant. Like spot on. In the game, it's booths, but it's still like the whole look, the whole feel of the place, spot on, absolutely spot on, really, really cool.
Yeah, man, the props to the fucking audio design team as well, because, like, I mean, particularly all the music in the show has just been fucking sensational.
Yeah.
It's all really, really added to every scene it's been in. You know, it's got that 3-note motif that we all know from the game, interspersed with, you know, various other bits of music. Just phenomenal stuff, man.
There's one scene that was in the game that obviously wasn't in this, and I know you can't have put it in this because you didn't have Joel interact with any of the townsfolk, whereas he does in like at the actual town itself. But he doesn't in the series, but he does in the game. Is where he opens a door. Well, you saw him get the bag, doesn't he? He finds a bag, and then he goes into another room, and there's like a ledger. And there's a meat ledger in the game where he looks it up, and it's like how much.
Yeah.
And it, because I think it obviously you can't show it in this because I feel that I feel like the townsfolk as a whole in the game knew that they were eating people, whereas this it was kind of like it's a select few people. Whereas in the game it was because it was like in the game they had a weekly breakdown of how much meat they've collected, and it was like person meat, you know. So it's like. They were fucking savages, and I was just like, I know you can't put that in there, but it would have because it doesn't fit with the narrative that they're telling in the series about the town. Because like I say, they don't. It doesn't come across that it's like 2 or 3 people.
But he says, doesn't it? When he talks to Ellie, he says there's only a couple of us that know. Exactly, I tell you,
But we had a little discussion before we went live. Next week is the final episode. Next week is confirmed as 42 minutes, I think, which we went on a long discussion last week, and we said about you could do this with this much time, this with this much time, but we did leave it on like where this ends. You know, we know we've got poignant moments we want to see in the last episode. Is 43 minutes enough to do it?
I feel that me doubting this crew now would be a folly.
That's where I'm at.
I agree. I just still have that burning. So I don't necessarily think that, like what I said about is that they'll end on a different cliffhanger than what they do in the game. What I said.
You think they will tell the story? But
I think they will. But I just and I get that there are certain things that you can't, like Joel. You can't. He can't do what he does in the game. It's not logical. But I don't know, because we've all made points about giraffes, and we've still got to get from where we are to there. And there's I
think TV Magic's going to sort that out.
I think you're going to start on a 3 months later.
Yeah. Well, it does, doesn't it? Because we're in winter currently, and we're not in winter when we get to our next destination. But I just like everything has been. Like, I felt this episode was really well done. I thought they needed the full episode to tell the story. I was worried that like we'd only get 40 minutes of this and then 20 minutes, and then they'd turn up and there'd be that like the end point would be they're at the next destination, which is the final destination essentially. So I'm glad they told us. I'm just like, if this had been an hour and 10 minutes, I would have absolutely no worries. I'll be sitting there going, this is going to be a 9.2. It's going to be amazing. Like they're going to like cross all the T's, dot all the I's. We're going to get everything. It's going to look beautiful, stunning. But 40, I think it's 42 or 43 minutes. I just worry.
I've just looked it up.
And I harped back to it last week, was that we missed what could have been a really great bit of television with the sewers that they dropped, that they cut out. I hope they don't cut out what potentially could be a great bit of the series for the last episode. Knowing full well what we know, I hope they don't.
My prediction then is going to be that the next episode starts with a sort of fucking, title card, 3-6 months later or whatever. 3-6 months later, maybe underneath X amount of miles, you know what I mean, travelled or something like that, or where they're currently at, something like that.
Maybe they'll do a montage, like put up the old, US of A. Here they are, Ellie and Joel.
Like a map with a line travelling across it.
Do you want to ruin the fucking series?
But like
Turn this
Real,
shit.
real talk. Yeah, I think there'll be like a title card, and then you'll have maybe anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes of them traversing through to reach where they need to go, and then you'll have the final half an hour, which.
And that's it. That's it. That's all you've got. You've just said there 10 minutes and for half an hour. That's it. That's all you've got.
Yeah. But that's all you need.
But
that is
I
all
don't think
you
you need
really,
more than that.
because-
I don't think you need more than that.
Like I said to you.
Yeah, because without going into too much, you could break it into 3 acts. You know, that final bit, and then I think you've got, say, the other 3 minutes will be the very final bit.
Yeah.
You know,
I will just say, and I'm not, like I said this to you guys before, I'm not giving any spoilers because I don't actually know. And this is why I've been waiting to watch.
You want
the
it on
episode.
Recorded now, so you want to go.
No. Listen, no. So I've been purposely watching the episodes Thursday, Friday, but I said to you guys, I need to watch it on Monday because I know there's going to be spoilers fucking everywhere for it. Because I saw a spoiler today, and it was just that they are adding scenes into the final episode that aren't in the game. And that's what I said to you before we come on. It's like, I'm already concerned about 43 minutes, and now you're adding extra stuff, which doesn't look like it's going to be 30-second stuff. It's going to be at least 5, 6, 7 minute stuff. And you're like, where I don't know where it fits. I really don't. I will hold. I don't know how many scenes. I don't know if it's 1 or 2, but that doesn't include, like, it's extra scenes. But I mean, is this extra scenes that aren't part of the last thing? I can't say the snippet I read. I was so stupid to read it, but I read it and it was just like, fuck. And but also, I also found out today, which I thought was awesome. Do you know the one character in the game, the voice character plays the same character in the series? There is one character, you know, like Troy Baker plays James, but technically he's Joel in the game. There's one character who plays
the same in both.
I didn't know that. Who's that?
Marlene.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Marlene is played by I did have it her name's
hold on.
Yeah, grab it up. It's the same voice actress who plays her, the leader of the Fireflies.
Hold on.
It's like Merge. She's like I can't remember what it was now.
So Marlene, you're saying
Marlene,
yeah. Marlene.
Let's go back to the first episode now.
There she is.
Merle Dandridge. Yeah, it's the same. She done the voice work, and she's playing...
shit, mate. She's done loads of voice work.
Yeah.
So she was Marlene. She was Alex Vance in Half-Life, in the Half-Life series. What else has she been in? Hitman 3, she's in. Part 2, she's in Last of Us Part 2 as well. Thief's End, she was in Uncharted as well.
Which kind of makes it. Oh, she's in a Thief's End. Was she? She might be one of the bad guys.
Evelyn, she was an Evelyn and a nun.
And a nun. Of course, she
and a nun.
And a nun.
And a nun. Just because.
And a nun. And a nun. She's been in CSI Miami 24. And she's been a fair few things. I've gone down a rabbit hole now. She's an Angel as well. One episode.
I wish I'd said nothing now, Jesus.
Yeah. All right, anyway.
But no, I found that little snippet of information really interesting.
Yeah. I do. To put it sort of back to the last of us, I do genuinely there are concerns with, is there enough time? But as Jay kind of pointed out, at this point, I feel that everyone involved in the show has done more than enough for me to wait and see. I mean, it's only 2 days away.
To me personally,
for me to watch it.
This episode 8, was the episode for me. This is like because of my feelings towards David as a character and how great I think he was in the series, in the game. This for me was like, if you mess this up, this clouds my judgment on the series.
But
I get it. They did it so well. It's probably for me, it's my favorite episode just because of like I say, like how I feel as him, and they cast it unbelievably well. Like I don't know anyone who could have done it better. Like,
well, the casting across the board for this has just been like exceptional, man. You know, you think about the city leader the woman from a few episodes ago, and she was so good at being unhinged, wasn't she? Just exceptional throughout, man. Real believable people as well. Everyone's got they've added all the little conversations and stuff. They've added of really rounded characters out, so everybody feels like a 3-dimensional person.
I've got another little tidbit for you as well, which I've held on to and I haven't alluded to anything. And it's been since the second episode.
I am in Last of Us Part 3.
I am The Last of Us Part 3.
No. So there were calls. I don't know. You may well have seen this, but we've not discussed it. So there were a lot of calls talking about whether Bella Ramsey, because of the age, she's 19 in real life. She plays a 14, 15-year-old girl in this. And to be honest, she looks 14 or 15 years old. A lot of calls, because we know that The Last of Us 2 jumps ahead so many years. There's a lot of question marks. People were like, well, they have to recast her. And people were actually putting petitions in to have her recast because they didn't feel that she could play the role. I know that there was a petition that after this episode was taken down. Because of it, and obviously because a lot of people were mentioning there was 2 names, but I can't remember either of them. That they could see playing her as an older person, and I was just like, I just wanted to play the devil's advocate. Do you feel that, knowing how this series has gone, would there be a backlash, or would people be accepting of it if Bella Ramsey was removed?
Recast.
I think you give it a year before you start filming, and then film.
I think that's a.
Oh no, he's saying he's asking whether or not you feel there'll be a backlash if they recast.
Yeah, but then I feel you do that. That'll be just enough time, I feel, for you to be able to, along with some Hollywood sort of trickery, lighting, camera, to maybe age her up enough. And then once people might whinge and bitch, but then once it airs and she absolutely demolishes the role, I'm
100% for her to stay as Ellie. Yeah.
So I feel there might be a backlash beforehand, but then it would disappear immediately.
No, again, Rich, I think he's saying.
No, I'm going the opposite side.
Do you think there'll be a backlash if they recast her?
I think there were calls for it at the start, right? This is what I'm saying. There were calls for it at the start. People were like, okay, yeah, she's Ellie and everything, but we obviously hadn't seen her have her chops as Ellie, really. She hadn't flushed herself out as a character, because we're 2 episodes in. You're still dealing with technically her as a bit of an immature child, because she grows up a hell of a lot during the series. I mean, she has to, right? But also it was just kind of an interesting thing that I was like, I never wanted to bring it up at the start, because it was we're too early to turn around and say have our. I mean, I will 100% admit, I was who Bella Ramsey. I don't, I've watched Game of Thrones, but she wasn't a big character really in Game of Thrones. I don't really know. Whereas you knew Pedro, you were like, I know he could play Joel. I don't know if Bella Ramsey can play Ellie, and she, like you say, she's the best part of the series now.
Yeah.
She's slowly just elevated onto another level, past Pedro. My only worry now is if they don't have a pre-production date set in mind, I hope we don't get a situation where it's by the way, here's a movie role that's going to take you out of commission for 6 months. There's always that thing. The longer, when people start to pick up and make it big and show that they have real, genuine talent, everyone wants a piece of them while they're hot. And I just feel like people will be looking to strike now to get Bella Ramsey in stuff. And I hope they haven't gone, we'll let the dust settle from series 1 and then we'll consider series 2 when we're going to do it. And I hope they haven't done that, because then it could be we're going to have to postpone it for another year because she's got this role or Pedro's got this role. It's one of them. I hope they've got.
I'll be honest. I would assume that if they would have offered her a 2-year contract or a 2-season contract, then she would have jumped at it.
It would do. It's just whether or not, the way that I've. From reading between the lines on different actors and bits and pieces is yes, they sign multi-film or multi-series deals, but until pre-production stuff is put in place, they are free to take on other roles.
I think it's a little different in film than it is in TV. Let me just
because I just remember the whole thing with like Sherlock when Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman started getting like I think it was after like the second or third season. It was like they were having to delay the seasons massively. The same thing's happening with Stranger Things because the actors are picking up other roles, and it's the times like the like to be able to get everyone in line.
Just to answer, according to IMDb, the cast that have signed on still to season 2 are Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey.
Oh, I know they would have signed up for 2 seasons because you have to. You can't drop a season like this and then go, oh yeah, we forgot to sign Bella Ramsey up to 2 seasons. Like they'll always do that in the contract, wouldn't they? Though, I mean, you'd know a little bit more, Jay, because you've done bits and pieces. But like, I would imagine there's always that clause in the contract, isn't there? It's like, well, it's a 2-season deal. Sign it, but we've got the get out. You don't have the get out. Like Bella Ramsey won't be able to get out of the contract, but whoever put it together, who is it? HBO. HBO will probably have a get out clause where they can replace her if need be for a.
They will, but. They'd have to pay.
Yeah, they'd
have to pay a massive pay her out.
Oh, yeah, they'd have to pay her. They'd have to pay her out. But would it be massive? Because
yes, it would be.
But then the success of this is unknown. So the contract that she would sign would be a minimal contract.
It would, but when they try to break out of contract, anytime you try and break out of a contract,
but what I'm saying is, wouldn't they write it in the contract that gives them like?
No, because her lawyers would have just gone, no. We don't sign on unless it's a 2-season deal. If you want to break us out, it'll cost blah blah blah, and that will be in the contract.
Yeah,
because she has to sign the contract as well.
Yeah,
and she is big enough to be now, especially being that she was going to a thing that she would have hired a good lawyer to go.
But was she big enough at the start? Like Pedro, I get,
yes.
but
it doesn't matter because she is now.
But she isn't signing the contract now. She signed the contract before season 1.
Yeah.
So that contract that she adheres to isn't like it doesn't take on effect. Like what she's agreed to then isn't.
I get what you're saying, but no actor worth their salt's not going to have something like that in the contract.
Yeah, no. But what I'm saying is the payout going to be? And like, we're kind of going completely off top, but it's an interesting thing just to talk about.
Well, I've been trying to say something for 10 minutes.
Sorry, go on then.
Doesn't matter, carry on.
I was just going to say, let's say she's not going to be getting paid shit tons of money for each episode because she is a smaller actress coming into this. She's not a massive name. She's not. Let's say, okay, let's put it in this way. They're around the same age. Millie Bobby Brown gets the Ellie role. She's infinitely higher on the pay scale than Bella Ramsey's. Like, and I'm not even talking like 1 or 2 places. I'm talking about chasms of difference.
Is her payout going to be as high as it would be now? No, it's not. Absolutely not.
That's what I mean. It's easy for them to move her on than it is like.
Yeah, but no one would watch it.
No. I'm completely. I'm like we've kind of, like I say, we've completely gone off on a thing here because my thing wasn't about getting rid of her. My thing was just if they like. I can't remember how we actually got into it. No, but I'm not even suggesting they're going to do that. Like I say, we've gone off on a bit of a tangent that even I've got lost on. To be honest, it was more to do with if it failed, they could have got rid of her easily.
Right, just to answer your question, right, when she would have gone into the agreement, it would have been a high-profile thing. Like, the budget from HBO Max would have been extremely high. Like, extremely, extremely high. So, when they go into negotiate, when she's gone in and she's done the role and she's done the audition, right, they will come back and say, we're offering you blah, 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 this much, right, as a main actress, which she would probably sign on for, and it would be about, I don't know, in this day and age, maybe £200,000.
What,
right?
An episode?
So, no, it would have been probably for the whole project. It may have been $1 million for the whole project.
She's getting paid $70,000 an episode.
There you go. So, like I say, so $70,000. As I say, she like $70,000 an episode, 9 episodes, 42.
I'd imagine if they say cancelled it, she'd get the payout for 49. Season 2 and then some, you know.
Yeah, like
Pedro's getting paid $600,000 an episode.
Yeah, but that's profile.
That's the point I was making with the Millie Bobby Brown to her. Like she would be a higher profile, higher paid.
But what I'm saying is, there's a point when you go into a next season, especially if it's only an entire series, if the entire series is only going to be 2 seasons, it will mean that halfway through there will be a negotiating point where they will go, this series, her lawyers will go, this series made this amount of money. We feel that our actress, blah blah blah, deserves this kind of level, and it will go into negotiations. So they won't break down because HBO can't afford to lose Ellie Ramsey as the main character.
No, I get that. I know how we got onto this conversation. It was the conversation about do they have to delay it because she's at a higher level now. This series has put her to a higher level in terms of like career trajectory, which means if other people come in and want to put them in their films and bits and pieces, and then that's what then led on. I was just trying to remember back in my head how we got onto the whole conversation.
And the thing that will happen now is obviously the budget for the next season will go up.
Yeah.
Because of the incredible high viewership, plus the ad revenue, plus everything else, plus subscription, blah, 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 blah. So both actors will probably renegotiate their contract.
I just want to point out... I
wouldn't be surprised if they're not both being paid about $1 million each.
I just want to point out, at no point at all did I ever want Bella Ramsey to be removed. Please don't. I don't know. I love her as Ellie. I was not putting that narrative out there.
No. The original question was, do you think there'll be a backlash if they recast?
Well, yeah, that kind of. Well, that yeah. Then it kind of went onto a different tangent. But yeah, right. I do apologise.
I do think that there would be a backlash if.
Yeah. There would be now. 100%. There would be now. They couldn't remove her.
No, they couldn't. Right. So going back on to point, being that we had a massive diversion just for a second. What I'm going to do is what we did last time. So I'm going to read one of the lowest scoring reviews for this show, and there is a low scoring review for this show.
Well, that's an idiot straight off the bat.
2 out of 10. Rich, have you got your point that you want to make?
It doesn't matter. Go on, carry on.
It's all right. You look uncomfortable, and I'm just wondering if you've got a point.
I forgot what my point was, so it doesn't matter. Let's carry on.
Okay. So this one is 2 out of 10, and it's from Indrid Cold with a 0 for the O in cold. On the 7th of March, it says reuse of the cannibal trope reveals very little meat left on this bone. Catchy. That's right for small.
Is that already wrote?
Already, dickhead.
Is that already wrote? Please tell me you wrote more. Than that. Oh, okay.
No, you wrote more than that.
Okay.
So it's got spoilers in. Warning, spoilers. A crazy preacher who endorses cannibalism. Didn't think he endorsed it, mate, but whatever.
Did what he did.
Yeah, he did what he did to keep people alive. He didn't endorse it. He just sort of went, we'll probably join to cannibalism. Anyway.
Sorry, what did they call him? And what did they call him? Sorry. The first bit, what did they classify him as? A preacher.
Preacher.
Yeah,
Crazy preacher.
Yeah.
Where have I seen this before? When it comes to dystopian, zombie-infected melodramas, everywhere it would seem. Okay, it's not like the idea of people eating each other is some kind of unrealistic, it's never going to happen plotline. Desperate people can be made to do despicable things. I get it. However, if you're a new television series based on the very overused plot device known as the zombie apocalypse, I think you should be expected to come up with some more imaginative writing conventions than a preacher, paedophile, cannibal, rapist, and a young girl who chops him to death with a sharp object. Hey, Night of the Living Dead is an old movie, but it's not so old the bloodiest scene has been forgotten. With 2 whole episodes, man, this dude does not even know what's going on.
Having a waffle, man.
Obviously, never played the game. Just pointing that out off the fucking bat. You've got source material to follow, dickhead.
With 2 whole episodes left, I'm really wondering how they're going to tie this up. Maybe.
And he can't count. He can't count.
I know, just has got no idea this bloke. Maybe our main character wakes up to discover they've been dreaming.
It's Vanilla Sky, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I think this bloke's a real see you next Tuesday.
Man's a sausage, man.
Right.
Absolute
it just goes to show, right? These people have no idea that they're following a fucking source material. Let's just say, for argument's sake, for what's his name? Cockwomble 4000. Cool. Just say for him, like if they go, oh, like yeah, this this kind of like story has been told time and time again. So we'll just we'll cut this section out of the the series because we don't want to copy The Walking Dead or anything else. So, and we'll put something else in its place. You're not fucking following the story, you tit. Like,
it annoys me because they're missing the entire point. The fact that you call them zombies when they're not.
They're not fucking zombies.
They're not fucking zombies at all. And it's like, yeah, admittedly, there is nothing in that storyline I haven't seen in other sort of medium around that. But there's very little you can tell in that framework. There isn't,
because
that
it's
shit,
a human story.
Yeah,
that
The Last
shit would
of Us
happen.
is humans.
That
It's the
shit
Last of Us.
100% would fucking happen. You know what I mean? Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, okay, it might have these tropes, but none of those other things have really had the sort of like the underlying theme of love that The Last of Us has. Because again, this episode had an underlying theme of love, which was a very twisted and dark version of love.
Yeah,
Very.
I just don't get like. I mean, we may have a skewed view because we've played the game, we loved the game, we understand. But it's almost like if someone had watched the Game of Thrones and went, "Wow, fucking unbelievable! These dragons, eh? What the fuck? Dragons?
Yeah.
Are you like she walked into fire and dragons came out? That's ridiculous!" It's like we have a source material that we have to follow. We can't just make it up as we fucking go along. Just please you, sir.
Just look how season 7 and 8 turned out. That was us making it up along. Like I say, the problem
when you
here.
have something based on something, like just accepted the fucking story is written already.
Right.
Yeah.
The man says, he goes, "I get it. People would eat people in the apocalypse." He goes, "Well, that's the problem, isn't it, dickhead? It's the apocalypse.
Yeah.
So at some point during that apocalypse, you're probably going to happen upon some cannibals.
Yeah,
I know it's a trope, but unfortunately, it's trying to tell a story of
it becomes
humans."
a cliche for a fucking reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People go, "Oh, it's cliche." Yeah, because it's
And the one thing,
honestly, we're like 3 days away from everybody eating each other. You lose all the power.
Yeah.
Within 24 hours, every supermarket's looted. Within 48 hours, everyone's starting to get weary of their fucking neighbours. Within 72 hours, fucking we're all stabbing each other and eating each other for food. You know what I mean?
it's like, I mean, let's be honest. We haven't even had was there any infected in that episode? I couldn't like it. So
No.
and when you look, they've been the least prevalent part of the whole fucking series.
Well, they're not the fucking point of the story, are they?
So for him to even bring them up as it's a zombie story, they're not zombies, but B, this whole series has proved the point that it's not a series about that. That is an underlying story that occasionally pops up with minor consequence, sometimes major consequence, because obviously Riley died in the last episode, so we get that.
We're gonna have plot devices, kids.
But yeah, it's the least point. It's the least like on the scale of important things in the series. The infection is kind of like. Well, it's hard to say that because the whole point of the series is she's the cure, so it is quite high. But you know what I mean.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a fungal infection. It could be a zombie infection. It could be a radiation sickness. Do you know what I mean? It's like what it actually is kind of immaterial. It's just there had to be an event to create this situation for these characters to go through this journey together.
Which is why it's 20 years removed from the initial outbreak.
Yeah.
Right? Because the story is called The Last of Us, not Zombie Apocalypse, not The Walking Dead, although The Walking Dead was also the symbolism of them. They're already dead. They're walking.
Yeah.
Right? But this is The Last of Us. So the stories it's telling is the tales of the last of humanity on Earth during the end of the world. So, of course, the zombie
But it's not during, is it? The world's ended.
Yeah, exactly. It's
the
over.
World's gone.
It's finished. This is how The Last of Us survived. That's why it's called The Last of Us. It's not overly about the Curacao or whatever the fuck it's called disease.
Cordyceps.
It's simply
Cordyceps.
right? It's just there as, like I say, a plot device. It's like, look, the world ended. This is how it ended. And now, obviously, there's remnants because otherwise civilization would have managed to build its back up. It's a story about how do humans deal with other humans when there isn't much going on, when life isn't good.
It's
When
like
life is bad, how are humans?
Quite similar to the Dark Tower in that it's like it's how people cope in a world that has moved on.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And how it's moved on is virtually immaterial. It could be aliens, it could be anything.
Yeah.
That is just they call it in like film and stuff, don't they? They call it a MacGuffin. It's like freaking it's a trope.
It's just a plot
it doesn't
device.
matter. It's just a plot device. Yeah.
It's just like, how do we get from A to B? Like, we need to tell this story, we need to tell this story, but what joins this to? Right. In this case, it's like we need to tell the story of the end of the world and how in 20 years on people are actually coping with there only being a few people left.
Yeah.
So what do we need? We need a plot device. What's the plot device? Okay, it's this disease, which is possible. So that scares people because initially they go like, oh shit, man, so that could happen. So yeah, I mean, like, it's unlikely, but it could. Not totally unseeable. So then that scares people, just like the zombie apocalypse scares people, because if the dead started rising, that'd be fucking terrifying. Like, it's just your plot device. It's just what gets you from A to B. So I'm sorry, moron, that you haven't understood story at all.
Dickhead.
So, I'm sorry, but let's read.
I think I'm giving your review 0 out of 10, dude.
Yeah.
Right, so
I'm not even giving you a review because there's not enough coherent bullshit in there to warrant a critique.
Now, I want to read this 5 out of 10 because it agrees with a lot of what you said earlier. So this is 5 out of 10.
Only a 5 out of 10.
Only a 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10. How did the townspeople survive for 20 years? By Sipona 5 on 7th of March 2023. Warning, spoilers. People from this town are led by a charismatic but evil leader. How did they even survive all this time? 6 or 8 armed men go looking for Joel and Ellie and get taken down by one like amateurs. One guy enters the house where Joel is, hidden in the basement, spots a door that Ellie tried to hide in, and creeps down the stairs without backup, of course. Joel, and this guy's English is bad, has miraculously recovered from a gut wound due to 2 shots of penicillin in his stomach that takes him down easily. Back at town, Ellie grabs a cleaver and one blow embeds it in a guy's neck and kills him from an impossible position, lying on her back. She's a small 14-year-old small nobody. Hold on, fucking hell.
I could do that.
He's a small 14-year-old small. I think he meant child.
Yeah. He gets the point across, doesn't it? Small human.
Nobody could make that killing blow from that angle.
Yeah.
Just small observations from a viewer that never even heard of the game, and just rating this show as an independent story. So there you go.
Right. I just like to say one thing, right? Okay. I love that the guy went down the stairs without backup. They're not SEAL Team 6. They're fucking Joe Bloggs who used to own the corner shop and he's been given a gun. Okay?
Yeah,
like,
agreed.
They ain't going to stand at the door and be like,
Smash bang, frag out.
Do you know what I mean?
You know,
It's like they might have played a bit of Call of Duty back in the day, but that's about their level of tactical fucking knowledge. Of course, he's going down by himself, and he's probably shitting his fucking pants as well because he don't know what's down there.
I just got to quickly point out that he doesn't even understand from his title how did those townspeople survive for 20 years? So you didn't listen to the story when they said we were all part of Fedra and all the shit going on down in this other city. We moved up here.
Yeah.
So next time, pay more attention to the story just a little bit. And you won't have to.
Yeah, just I love the fact that it was like 5 out of 10, and all it was negatives. And I'm like, are you honestly telling me that there's nothing positive from that episode? Because if so, man's a dickhead.
I mean, even if that's all you're going to take from it, like, it's still higher than a 5.
Yeah, man, you like it, the fact that there is not one fucking mention of any of the acting performances in that is just like a disservice. Giving it just a fucking an honest and average fucking non-biased sort of critique. Yeah, well, it's not non-biased though, is it? Because it's entirely negative. You haven't posted anything positive. That is the kind of definition of non-biased. Because there is some objectively amazing stuff in that episode, isn't there?
But to play devil's advocate right here, do you think that, like I said it earlier, when like people can miss certain things, like we love this source material. This source material means a lot to us, to the point of like Rich, you said, if certain things are missed, you ain't watching season 2. Like,
yeah.
you know, so we love this source material. So we have a vested interest in this. Someone who's never played the game, who's just like, let's say my wife watched it, or a friend of mine who's never played the game watched it. Like, we're in that kind of time now where it's, and you've said it as well, Rich, if the episode don't grab you straight away, you're on your phone. How many people were sitting there watching it, like, phone in hand, like, oh, okay, yeah. Oh. And so they miss the little nuanced things. And so I can kind of understand where people come in, not a 5 out of 10, but I can understand where people come in. Yeah, people come in with the thing, and maybe we do have like that more skewed view because we know more already going in because we've played the game. I mean, and these people are so evident. It's so evidently clear that these people have never played the game by the reviews that they're writing. You know, it's almost like we should have like 2 separate columns. You have and you haven't played the game, and like we could because it's so evidently clear that especially the last geezer where it was like, oh, the whole thing's fucking bullshit, like, you know. And I
wish I'd have watched this with my mother, because my mum's obviously not played the game. She's known of the game, but she's heard me talk about how great it was, which is one of the reasons why she watched the show. So like a lot of the stuff, things like, you know, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, we watched together. I'd have loved to have watched this with her, just to see like live firsthand, you know, her reactions to stuff, man.
Guys, I've just got to interrupt. I've got to nip to the toilet.
So okay, you know what? We can continue.
You dig it? Yeah,
you carry on with that.
But yeah, we just. Well, I said earlier, I'm kind of jealous that I can't actually watch it.
Yeah, for the first time.
Yeah, because I know what's coming. You know, I knew that plot twist with sort of David was coming, which is, as I say, could you have told? Would you have picked up on that? You know, if you weren't,
that's the thing.
I think
it's
you
like
probably would have done.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because like people are just attention spans are getting worse and worse and less and less. And you know, we are the TikTok Vine generation where it's 60-second clips, move on to the next one. So people's attention spans are terrible. And like, you know, I can just see these people like literally watching. Of the whole entire episode at 50 odd minutes, they were actually concentrating for 20 of those 50 minutes. Right. And they were looking at something else. And so, and how can you honestly give a review about something that you have not watched?
Paid full attention to. Yeah, that see, I've been, because like my main sort of chosen medium of entertainment is anime, and anime episodes are anywhere from roughly 18 to 24 minutes. And that's including the intro and outro, you know, so you skip them as well. And it's like, I'm kind of conditioned to that to be my attention span. So most stuff now that's hourly, I tend to watch over 2 days, because instantly, like when I hit the sort of half-hour mark, I
get fatigued.
Even if I'm riveted by something, like I'm kind of craving new stimulation at that point. So you know, the last couple of weeks I've watched The Last of Us episodes like in 2 parts, because it is that good. It deserves my full attention, and but I know for a fact like, you know, 30 minutes and 1 second, I'm fucking scrolling through TikTok for painting videos. Or
doesn't this speak to the wider culture now?
Well, hugely.
Like I was saying, we are. I don't know if you were here when I said, like, we are the TikTok generation. TikTok and Vine, 60 seconds, move on, next subject, next video, next clip. And it's so easy. Swipe. You look at everything in our lives, like Tinder, it's just swipe. You know, everything is just on point, ready, there, one after the other, after the other.
24 hours a day.
Instant gratification,
never stop.
Boom, done.
Well, I've said for years, we live in a microwave society, man. I want this. Ping, I've got it. You know what I mean?
The big question is, boys, can we condense this all down into 30 seconds? There we go. I've given my entire result.
Done.
It was, we can. It was bad. There you go. Fucking
start doing shortcuts.
Can we have a 10 out of 10?
Bad.
Yeah.
Can we have a 10 out of 10?
10 out of 10.
I'm not gonna lie, I fucking despise doing that, but 9. I don't do points.
No. Sorry, no, I didn't mean between us. I meant, can we have a 10 out of 10 review just to balance it out before we like from IMDb? Like, you know, you've got we've had a 2, we've had a 5. Can we get someone give a can you read out a 10 out of 10?
Of course.
I thought you meant, are we going to give it a review?
No. I feel if we're going to give a review, we should wait till next week and give an overarching our overarching out of 10 for the whole series.
Right, I'm just
unless they. So quickly before you start on that, unless they, spoiler alert, like unless they horribly botch next week's episode, like the overall score for it's probably going to be pretty fucking high.
Yeah.
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Let's be real. But so much does sort of hinge on next week's.
Yeah.
Right, so just to let you know, my plan was I've got a 6 to read just because
Okay, yeah,
I'm
cool.
in its title, and then we'll read we'll read a 9 and we'll read a 10.
Yeah, go for it.
Right, so it's a quick one. No, so 6 out of 10. This is from Sadako 11, 6th of March. So you watched it a bit earlier. Warning, spoilers again. Title is another standard Walking Dead episode. So it caught my attention because of that. I don't watch much Walking Dead, but to be honest, I think The Walking Dead is a bit tat. But that's my opinion.
First season was great. Then they spent an entire season at Herschel's farm, and it went to shit.
Exactly, the Herschel farm killed me off.
Negan,
and I know they said look at the flowers. I know the look of the flowers.
No, I
Casting
picked
and
back up. I did like the governor. I think it was. I did like that. I lost it after Negan. I lost it. The Carl incident lost it for me, which I kind of wish it hadn't because apparently some of the Negan stuff afterwards was phenomenal.
I heard it was good, but I can't.
I couldn't get past
season 5. I got off and I
lost.
I read The Walking Dead. I've
Right.
got it all upstairs. And yeah, it just lost me completely after the Herschel's farm thing. I was like, up until that point, I was in, and the Herschel's farm stuff was really good. There was just way too much of it,
yeah,
and it just ruined the pacing.
Just bored off. Right. Anyway, so another standard Walking Dead episode. Can someone tell me? Can someone tell me what's original about this show?
Oh, fuck off, man!
The Walking Dead dealt with crazy cannibal group 2. These episodes were absolutely disturbing. This is another standard episode where they introduce new characters to be killed by the end. The Walking Dead and Fear of the Walking Dead have billions of types of this episode. Billions? I don't think they went up to billions. I mean, there's a lot of them.
I don't even think they've got hundreds. Oh no, they've probably got hundreds.
But... I keep asking myself why Joel and Ellie did not stay with Tommy in his beautiful and secure town. It does not make sense. So you've not listened to the story at all.
Yeah.
She has a purpose.
Ignore the story. Of course, it's a whole show about two people just taking a leisurely stroll.
Yeah, they're just going for a wonder, man.
Why didn't they just stay in the QZ? They would have been so much easier.
They went for a hike one day and thought, I could dig this, and just never stopped. No, that was it. Like, dickhead. I swear, man.
Lucky Ellie. Destiny put a butcher's knife at arm's reach. I laughed when she killed the two morons with it. Didn't pay attention to what they were at all then.
Hello, he's going to cut. He's got the butcher's the knife in his hand. He's going to fucking cleaver the shit out of her until she goes, I'm infected, and then he puts it down. What's he supposed to go? 1 minute, let me put it out of arm's reach and put it over here. It's like...
You just told me that you're infected, and I'm stood right next to you.
And you bit me. Not just you're infected, and you bit.
This is not the time for him to be like, oh, okay, yeah, well, you know, of course it would happen like that.
Man's a sausage.
This guy might be worse than the fucking 2 out of 10 guy. Jesus.
So it ends with, Last of Us is not a bad show. It is entertaining at times, but not original. So... You're not original, mate. Please go walk off.
I'm with TJ on that. I'm actually kind of more annoyed about that one than any of the others. And all that's going through my head is a chef song. Suck on my chocolate salted balls.
Stick them in your mouth and
suck them.
Right, I'm going to give this 10 because this geezer's played the game.
Oh, good. Finally, someone who must speak sense.
Yeah. Right, so 10 out of 10. Brutal, but meaningful. Rachel Smith, Liverpool. It's probably Rachel Smith from Liverpool if I was going to take a random stab in the dark.
I reckon it's Bob Thompson from Connecticut.
Dave from down the road.
Yeah. Steve!
Someone may want to go and tell Rachel Smith about trying to be a little bit more.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
What was the name, sorry?
Rachel Smith, Liverpool.
Yeah.
I mean, fair play, at least it's Smith. Like, you've got to get through 400 minimum. Anyway, back to Brutal but Meaningful by Rachel Smith on 6th of March, 2023. This, for me, is the best part of the game to play. And I think my
100%.
favourite parts were executed extremely well. Bella Ramsey, I salute you. I had my doubts at first, but let me tell you, I am so happy that she was cast. She did a fantastic job of portraying the characters and the emotions behind the character. Pedro Pascal as Joel in the map scene is exactly what I want from Joel.
Yep.
The brutal man who will do anything to save the one he loves. I'm so excited to see the final episode. Even though I know how the game ends and I really enjoy it, I hope there is 1 or 2 more surprises in store for the players. I just want fantastic episode. The last 10 minutes were absolutely exceptional. I salute you, Rachel Smith from Liverpool, or Rachel Smith Liverpool, or Rachel Smith Liverpool. Is there a hyphen meant to be there?
Just Rachel. Just call her Rachel.
Yeah, you're from Liverpool. Is Liverpool part of your name? Who can say? Who knows?
I think she's pretty much like across the board, like everything we said, everything we brought up in this episode, like is what she covered, like exactly right.
Correct. Yeah, Bella Ramsey is quite easily, as I say, which is really funny considering I actually said in the first podcast that she was a harder buy-in to Ellie than Pedro was for Joel.
I 100% agree.
And now I just like, I'm almost like anytime she's not on screen, I'm like, can you just put Ellie in, please?
But do you think that's because, like, once again, we played the game, so we knew the arc that Ellie goes on, and we don't know the acting chops of Bella Ramsey. So we don't know if she could do the role justice. So it was always going to be a harder sell than Pedro was. Because we know Pedro. She had an
uphill run, really.
But she's gone through the fucking stratosphere, I tell you.
Yeah, I was cemented with her as Ellie by the end of the first episode. You know, it was almost like Joel was like instantly. I was like, the end of the first episode, the real moment. Yeah, actually, to be honest, the real moment where I was like, well, perfection was I'll just throw the fucking sandwich at him then, line, when they wouldn't let her have a gun. And I was like, beautiful. That's
at the start of 2, isn't it? That's at the start of 2. Yeah.
That's fucking Ellie, like, to perfection,
Right.
Brilliant.
One final last one, another 10 out of 10. Can't tell whether they've played the game or not. Oh no, they have played the game.
Okay.
Maybe I've tried to find it.
I think most of the 10 out of 10s are going to be people that have played the game because they have that appreciation for it.
Yeah. They already know the story's good. They're watching to see if it's a good adaptation.
And they're
of the
like
story.
us. They're like us. They're invested.
Yeah, I'm trying to find one that hasn't played the game. So I'm very interested in. Geezer from Lithuania. No video game storyline. Come on, guys, someone.
It's
hold on. Well done. This one says. I'm not going to try and read the name because it's impossible. Slavko Bojic.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Go with that then.
Yeah.
After a very slow 7 episode, this was refreshing. The tension and action are at a high level. It keeps you excited. Consistent rush of adrenaline. Dialogues designed in such a way that they do not slow down the episode, but add to the atmosphere and experience. The plot of the story is great. Acting is at an enviable level.
Enviable
level. At no point did I feel the need to skip any part. It keeps the attention on point. Great shots with a very good background. Overall, great episode. I feel like this series is getting back on track and looking forward to the next episode. I hope that the flow of the series will continue in this manner. So far, they have
one episode left.
That's it. So
that doesn't sound like that person's played the game, which
No, yeah.
But I kind of agree that episode 7 was a slower, plodding episode, but it kind of the source, the kind of the story that they told in it was always going to be that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was a good story as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Found a 6 out of 10 that's like half of fucking 2 pages long or something. Anyway,
no,
I was going to say,
yeah, there's no need for that much incoherent nonsense, is there, man?
No.
Like at the very least, even if there was shit about it you didn't like, bare minimum, it's like a 7, isn't it? You know, in terms of just purely, in terms of production on how it was made, you know, it's just phenomenal, regardless of what you think about like the script and the story. But like, you know, cinematography, music, acting, performances, it's all top tier shit.
100%.
If someone compares it to The Road, did anyone ever watch The Road?
I never. That's the Viggo Mortensen, isn't it? I never watched it.
I have never ever seen the film, but I've read the book.
In it,
yes, I've read the book, which is by Cormac McCarthy, and it is grim. It is very much like The Last of Us. It's basically the same sort of story. It's a child and a dad. It thematically, like, it's very very similar. I think it's an atomic wasteland there. It's been a very long time since I've read it. And while it shares a lot of similarities thematically, it's very similar. Like, there's no cure for it and stuff like that. You know, the driving force is one more of just out and out survival as opposed to hope. Grim, horribly depressing, bleak, like incredible story. One of those things that like everybody should read. But another one of those things to say, it's been like maybe 15 years since I've read it, and I quite probably would never read it again, because it's one of those where, you know, like rewatching Grave of the Fireflies, Dad. Like, I can't imagine a point in time where I think, do you know what? I'm just not sad enough today. Why don't I sort that out?
Yeah.
You know?
There are those films, aren't there, that are like they're great films, but you just left you've left the screen thinking, like, literally depressed as fuck, but you've just seen greatness on the screen, and you're never going to watch it again because you never want to feel like this again.
First 10 minutes up every time, just like, why am I even watching this movie?
Yeah. do you know what, the a film I really had that reaction to was Joker. Because I remember I went to see that by myself, because by the time like I got to go see it, freaking everyone else had all gone, and you know, I worked in retail at the time, so I was random shifts, and I had like a Wednesday off and just went fuck it. 10 o'clock in the morning, went to the cinema and went and watched it, and I remember sitting in my car afterwards and I was like, holy shit, what have I just watched? Because you literally were just watching like a geezer with serious mental health issues, just getting shit on for an hour and a half. And the beautiful thing about Joker, like my single favourite shot in that entire film, is when he's walking out the train, you know, after he's ditched off the police, and he's walking out the train and he's smoking a fag, and it's his body language suggests he's transitioned into who he was always meant to be, which is a very, in any other film would be a very moment. But the person who he's always meant to be is a mass murdering psychopath that's going to kill thousands of people, you know. So it was honestly, like, it was one of the few films where you can't really root for the main character.
But you want to.
I did. I did. Like,
you want to, but you know what he becomes, so you can't ultimately.
At that point, as I say, I remember watching that scene, and I was like, and then I shivered. Because I was just like, oh yeah, you've done it, you've blossomed, you've grown, you've become this confident, you know, you're who you're always meant to be. And then it's just like, man, bad times are coming, you know.
They've just started filming number 2, haven't they?
Yeah, that's weird. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that.
It's gonna be a musical.
I did.
Weird, because they've got Lady Gaga, haven't they? She's coming in to play Harley Quinn, Harleen Quinzel, isn't she? I don't know if she's going to transition into Harley Quinn by the end or what. I don't know.
Probably, I would.
You would have thought so.
Do you know what? She's a phenomenal actress, man. Like, in the few things I've seen her in, so like, I'm down for that. And I can see her like the one thing that always really kind of put me off with Margot Robbie, but. This is another point, isn't it? I never felt like she did the harsh enough Brooklyn accent, you know, that I attribute to sort of Harley Quinn, whereas I feel like Lady Gaga will really lean into that shit.
But that's because, I mean, don't forget, Harley Quinn was created on the animated series, and what's her name? And she not only looks like Harley Quinn, but like she's my Harley Quinn.
The Big Bang Theory, what's her name? Kaylee Cuoco did the new Harley Quinn.
Oh
stuff,
she was great.
Awesome.
She was
that
great.
Series
she was the voice for the newer one.
Fucking, I was like, what the fuck is this? Within 30 seconds, I was just like, Oh my god, I
Mm.
was not prepared,
You watched
man.
it, TJ?
I've seen 3 or 4 episodes of it. I haven't
Oh,
seen.
quality. So
Mm.
good. The insinuation between Joker and Batman being gay is hilarious.
Yeah, Dr. Psycho in
hilarious.
that, where he fucking calls Wonder Woman to see you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Funny shit, man. Funny shit.
Yeah, generally, guys, if you're out there and you haven't checked it out, do go check that out.
Yeah, for real, man.
Very,
It's
very
fucking like.
If you've got
brutal.
immature humor like I have, and appreciate any kind of just funniness, then
Yeah, it's jokes, man. Jokes.
really good stuff.
We so off topic of The Last of Us.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, to be fair, I think we've covered everything we covered. I did want to say, because I was going to mention it when I spoke. When he pins down Ellie and he says, like, she started with not squirming or something like that.
He says the fighting's part of the appeal, or the enjoyment, or something like that.
Fucking dude, I was like, man, fair play, like, for nailing that line, but Jesus Christ.
My skin's crawling. I genuinely feel dirty, like having seen that. You know what I mean? It's just like,
I gotta say though, he just killed it so. Like, he was such. I mean, I wondered because obviously Nolan North originally did the voice and the mocap for David, and like, don't get me wrong, we all know Nolan North as the wonderful Uncharted guy, Nathan Drake.
Everyone's favourite mass murderer and wisecracking legend.
Exactly, because he's great.
Love Nathan Drake.
Yeah, but in that, I mean, because I wondered what he'd play in Last of Us when I originally played it, and then I doubt that he was playing that character was a bit
Wow. He played him well, didn't he? He played him really well. Although, I got
to say, Scott Mayer just absolutely killed it off. What's his name again?
Smashed him. Scott Sheppard.
Yeah, Scott Sheppard absolutely murdered him. I don't want to say anything about him being ginger because I'm ginger. But
where you going with this? Like, gingers are all weirdo cult leaders?
No. Hang on. So we're charismatic motherfuckers.
Well, look at his streaming empire.
Charismatic,
charismatic.
Okay, as long as it stays there, Jay.
I'm just saying that there was a talk at some point in my Discord to call my show Cult of Jay. I'm still down for that, by the way. Cult of Jay.
We won't revert back to what I called you on stream on Friday.
No, we won't.
Yeah, I completely do agree. Though he as good as Nolan North was, he absolutely outclassed him.
He owned it, man.
Once you go past,
earlier.
Go on, sorry, Rich.
I was just going to say, as I said earlier, he deserves to go in the annuals of best TV villains in fucking history.
Yeah,
you know.
He is by far and away. I know there's no other main characters in this story. It's Ellie and Joel. But if you're to go like the next person who's got a standout performance in this, he stands head and shoulders above anybody else. I know we've spoken about. Was it Melanie Linsky, I think her name was, who played the head of the town in Kansas? Yeah,
she could flip on a dime as well.
Which was
I love you.
Good.
I'll bake you cookies. I'll murder you in your sleep.
Yeah, bam.
But even she can't hold a candle to what Scott Sheppard did as David. Like,
he made me want to believe him, and then made me.
Well, the thing is, as well, she's a completely new character, wasn't she? So she's like, you know, he actually like took the direction of like the character in the game, and then probably elevated it above what he was in the game as well.
Yeah,
everything they've sort of done to expand the source material is doing pretty uniformly fucking excellent, to be honest with you. Which again is really hilarious, considering, you know, the first episode where it was sort of like, was it the second episode?
The second episode. That was the end of the second episode, I think.
Yeah, you know, we're like, the deviation from the source material. And then ever since then, it's just like, check out this deviation. Oh my god, this is the best thing I've seen all year. Check out this deviation. No, hang on. Yeah, you had the complete.
You had the complete episode that wasn't even part of the series. So,
well, So, guys, I think this all boils us back down to TJ's question:
Are they going
to fucking nail it next week?
We ain't got long to find out.
We
haven't
got 2 days. 2 days. As I say, if you're not watching it until later on in the week, I'll Discord you.
I'm watching it on Monday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, I will watch it a Monday evening before my stream. I think
it's not that long, so I actually probably will just smash that through. Get back from my training and just hammer that out.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to watch it as soon as
and then we'll tease Jay with like little spoilers. He won't watch it, and we'll put the stuff out there that doesn't actually happen. But oh my god, they didn't have giraffes. They had a fucking killer whale.
I once did that to a geezer. He was a fucking knob, and he deliberately spoiled. I can't even remember what it was. It was from a series that had just been made into a TV show, and he deliberately spoiled it for a mate of mine.
Wankers.
So I gave him 3 spoilers for Game of Thrones. This was when season 1 had just come out, and like I'd read 5 books at this point.
Yeah.
So I gave him 3 spoilers for Game of Thrones, and 1 was real and 2 were fake. So like the first one happened the next season, so he spent the entirety of the rest of Game of Thrones waiting for these 2 things.
For the other 2 things.
Never gonna happen.
That's really devious, mate, because you've laid the trap by doing the first one as being real, so he's got no reason to believe you. There's no reason to doubt that the other 2 aren't. That's devious, man.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not a person to be fucked with, man. Like, I'm very vindictive, man. Like, so yeah, fucking just bullshit. I hate, like, I'm not that bothered about spoilers about stuff. Like, me and Jay have this discussion quite a lot. We a friend of ours there's a couple of people I know that I feel are a little too over precious with it. In this day and age, like, I take a lot of responsibility for my own sort of spoilers. So I actually still haven't seen all of the latest Spider-Man film. But I can tell you everything that happens in it.
Yeah.
And that's on me, because after like 2-3 weeks, well, yeah, I've made the conscious decision not to see that. That wasn't the most important thing. There was I prioritized other things. I can't expect after say 2-3 weeks. I can't expect the world to just like not talk about things
to you, and not
because I've made the active choice. Like
I think
potentially being a bit miffed if say I was in hospital or something like that, and I had no opportunity to, and somebody came and blurted stuff. Yeah, I'd be livid, but like I didn't. I just didn't go to the cinema to see it. You know what I mean?
So, what would everyone agree is the correct amount of time that you should allow?
7 minutes.
7 minutes.
I think
straight on Facebook.
I think it kind of depends.
Get there first, right?
I kind of think it depends on the medium, to be honest. I think you have different time lengths depending on what it is. So I feel like games, you should have a different time length to maybe a TV show, because games is something that people maybe can't afford, or a game might come out at the middle of the month and people don't get paid to the end of the month. Well, it's bullshit if people are talking about it in a week and a half.
I also think there's a difference if like it's a film at the cinema compared to a film on like Netflix. Because obviously, like, not everyone can. Like, people have got children, whatever reason, they might not be able to legitimately. I mean, if it's a film that doesn't have a massively long run, they literally might not be able to get to the cinema. And then if you don't pirate stuff, then you've got to wait a couple of months. So there's a little grey area there. Whereas I think if it's on Netflix, it's like, well, you've got access to it. Within 90% of people have got access to it.
Again, let's not like blanket everyone, because like
no, I get that. 90% is quite high, but in my circles, let's say, I know everyone's got like. I don't use social media in that aspect that I'm going to put stuff out there, but in terms of like my circles and even within my streams and stuff, like I know the majority of the people who are regulars in there, so I know certain things that I can and can't. It's
that if a film at the cinema, like for me, once it's gone from the cinema, like that's on me. Then I don't care, because that's on me. Because as I say, like I've had long enough. It's just I've used my time doing other things.
I think it's difficult depending on the person circumstance. Like I know, like people, if it's like it's less. I have one child, but let's say there are parents that have got 3 children, so it's like it's not always easy to necessarily. If you both work, the kids are at school, then you've only got the evenings, and then it's like where do you offload your kids to? You've got you've got to get a babysitter and stuff, so it's not always that easy.
Yeah, I mean, the day after something is bullshit, isn't it? Anything. TV, I think, like until the next episode. I think once the next episode's out, yeah, it's free game because
Okay,
like, the vast majority of people.
You say that. What about something like, so let's go Stranger Things that's released in one hit? Because that's an interesting thing. Because you say like next episode, so like this obviously we're talking about this a few days after it's been aired. The next episode's coming up, so
we spoil things 1 week later.
Yeah. Whereas like Stranger Things, it's like someone is going to binge. That drops at say midnight. By midday, someone's watched all the episodes.
Yeah, that was something we said in terms of streaming when we were talking about streaming. Look at us linking it all back to previous topics. But yeah, fucking in that this is why I actually prefer stuff like The Last of Us that comes out weekly, because you get those water cooler moments, they call them, where fucking you're at work and you're all making a coffee and you're like, oh, did you watch The Last of Us last night? Oh, no way, yeah, it was amazing, wasn't it? Rare. What do you think's going to happen next week? Whereas I find you can't really, like when Stranger Things dropped, we couldn't really talk about it in the group chat.
Because everyone's at different stages.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't like, as I've already said, I've got the attention span of a fucking gnat, so I don't watch, I can't binge watch a show anymore. I watched, I think the most of Stranger Things I watched in any one day was 2. Sandman again, which is like one of the best things I've ever fucking watched on TV. I don't think I ever watched more than 2 in a night. Most of them I watched, 1 a day sort of thing.
Yep. You like to be able to digest it as well, don't you? And actually have a reflective moment on what you've watched. Like you're saying, that water cooler moment is dependent on the series. I mean, some stuff that's on telly is just fluff. So yeah, you can just whatever. But stuff like this, The Last of Us, stuff like Stranger Things, it is probably better set out. Yeah, Game of Thrones is so content dense because there's so many stories going on at one time that to throw like, oh, here's all 10 episodes and you cane through that. You ain't got a clue. You've missed loads because I don't think you can take everything on board. That's always my
argument with binge watching. Like once I finished, literally immediately, so I could sit there and watch 10 episodes of Stranger Things back to back, and immediately afterwards you could be, unless it was the last episode, if you said what episode did this happen in, I'd go, I don't have a fucking clue. I know it happened, I can tell you what happened before, I can tell you what happened afterwards, but it's not compartmentalized.
You remember the key moments, but you don't remember the broad strokes, but you don't remember all the nuance and the little
See, the problem is that, like, by giving you all of it, they also relinquish any responsibility for you not feeling that way. Because you could agree with all your friends. I mean, there's going to be points, right, where we're going to be doing this podcast, and I'm going to say to you, it's like, oh, we're watching this episode of this thing. We're going to try and pick things that we haven't all watched, or at least some of us watched them. We're going to watch them again, and we know they're good, obviously. But there's going to be times when I'm going to say, like, well, you're going to have to watch one episode. And people like TJ, if he hasn't watched it, or if I haven't watched it, or if you haven't watched it, Rich, you might go, fuck, but I've got like another 8 episodes I could watch at any point. So will you be able to hold off? I mean, I'm a bit of dual. The content creator in me wants me to be able to talk about everything all at once. But obviously I also love these moments of just discussing that episode in particular.
I didn't watch I didn't watch the latest episode of Stranger Things. I was desperate to watch it. I didn't watch it for about the first six or 7 weeks. So, I will be able to refrain myself.
Here's my problem: it's the FOMO again, like the fear of missing out. That because they drop them all at once, and you want to be part of the conversation, especially as a content creator, that you end up going like, well, I should spend the time watching it because I want to be able to have the conversation. I mean, obviously there's Tex in my chat and he's always talking to me about the Bad Bunch and I haven't watched any of it. I'm a big Star Wars guy, but the Bad Bunch, I just haven't got around to watching it.
The problem is with streaming though, you kind of got to strike up the balance depending on like where you are with your community and stuff. They're not all going to be at the same point either.
No, exactly.
So you kind of need to even be more careful because you want to keep them in the channel. You don't want to alienate certain people. So if you start talking ahead and they're going to dip out of your channel and they're not going to know when to come back, for instance. They might not come back that evening, for instance. So you've kind of got to be a little bit responsible with that as well and just be like, look,
Yeah, and it's also, I feel if you do stuff weekly, you've got a better chance of making it a community event. Whereas, like, if I was discussing you with a thing and you were like, You know, I was just a watcher. You know, how much do we talk about how little free time any of us sort of get? This is why I prefer watching stuff weekly, because it's easier for me to find an hour a week for something than to sit there and feel like I've got 10 hours of shit to get through. You know, whereas if you say like to a community, you know, this is where we're at. We've just watched episode 1. Then they know they've only got to watch one episode by next week to be at the same point to then hear what we thought about it. You know.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it's the reason that when we do the Geek Show, the reason I choose to do a lot of things about the past and only what that week's releases are is because, as I said to you both before, the content creates itself then. I don't have to try and fish something and then worry about spoiling it for people. I mean, we don't spoil anything on Geek Show anyway. All we do is talk about what's come out, what could come out. You can play this. There's a game that exists where you can find it, an anime that's come out that week. So, but do you know what I mean? Like, because you're making a show about entertainment, which is what we're doing here, you have to be careful about where you land with spoilers because, as TJ just rightly pointed out, you can just alienate someone because you've spoiled someone. This show in itself, our show, this podcast, is spoiling technically The Last of Us for people if they were to jump in at episode 4. The other thing that I've got to do, by the way, and I'm going to announce it here, I'm going to go back and find the True Talks with TJ, which is where we originally started talking about this, and put those up as episodes 0.1 and 0. Yeah, because I just realised that we've got a whole extra bit of conversation on that one. Remember the first one we did an extra 50 minutes on that. So I've still got the original though, so I'm going to put those up. I'll send them to you, TJ.
What was that about?
I can't remember.
Oh no, it was money, not DLCs, in-game microtransactions and stuff. Yeah.
We love that conversation. We love that conversation over here, don't we?
Yeah.
Love getting robbed by video games.
It always comes full circle.
Man, you seen fucking Apex's next money grabbing fucking skins is the Ash heirloom and bikini fucking swimsuit costumes for the characters.
I should be buying them all.
Right.
I was going to say, TJ will 100% be coming on to buy logos. 100%. Because if not, I will give TJ the money for logos because I want to see logos.
I've got a really, really funny story that is kind of poignant now because we're talking about Apex being a first-person shooter and everything. That just before we all depart and everything, I just you're going to find this fucking hilarious and like it's super embarrassing from my point of view. So my chat have been wanting me to play Fortnite, right? And I was going to play on Friday because Dead by Daylight was down. I've never played Fortnite. I've never paid attention to Fortnite. I've never been interested in Fortnite. But I was like, okay, I'll download it and play it. It was 40 gigs, so I couldn't play it on Friday. But I downloaded it and I thought, I'm going to throw it on and play a game because there's no building, and that was the thing the barrier that always stopped me because it was like, I want to shoot someone, not build a fucking tower. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's always made me laugh because people always go like, "Oh yeah, Fortnite's a fucking kids game." Fortnite with building is hard as shit. Like you shoot somebody and he's in a tower and then shotted you out, and I'm like, I don't know what just happened.
You're dead is what happened. You're dead.
Well, I didn't. So I knew nothing. I went on, selected no build, went into my first game. Okay, played my first game, won my first game. I'm like, oh my god, I'm retiring now. I'm retiring. I sent. Shut up, John. I sent you a pic. I literally screenshot it. I sent it to you. I put it in my Discord. I was like, look, people, I'm fucking a prodigy of Apex. Someone turned around and said, you do realise the first game you play on Apex is just a lobby full of bots. It's you against bots. I was like,
you meant Fortnite.
Fortnite, sorry.
Fortnite.
I was like, fuck. I just made myself look like a right wanker. And then someone put the gif up of Drax going, bet you were well embarrassed. And I was like, fuck off. You ruined my night, you bunch of assholes.
That's great.
I was so proud of myself. I was like, fucking shit. I fucking never win anything.
I didn't want to point it out to him on the thing.
I told Ben about it and Ben just like glossed over it and all the bastard.
I
was like to let you believe things.
Fuck's sake, I thought I was great.
Man, we got hammered on Apex the other night, didn't we?
We did. Honestly, Apex has just not been fun this season at all.
Nah, it's been savage, isn't it, man?
It's been grim. I'm gonna lie. The problem was, Rich. We had that day where we had 3 wins. Remember?
Yeah. We killed.
You peaked too early.
That's it.
Yeah,
Ruined
it
our
was
entire
literally the
season.
first day of the season. We
First
came
day
in
in the
big dick
season.
energy and just smashed it like
Yeah.
3 wins, and they weren't even looked in wins. You know, where you just like
Hard-fought wins.
you see nobody and then fight the last team. No, we decked like 5-6 teams. You know, played position really well, really smart rotations. We absolutely nailed it. First day, we were like, yeah, this season's the one that's all smash ranked. And then from then on, we've just been shit on for the entire season, man.
God's sake. Well,
Yeah,
that's Apex for you, kids. That's Apex for you. That's live. That's what
it'd
they
be
say it
interesting.
is.
So next week we're not just going to be discussing the episode that we're going to watch.
No,
we're also going to be doing like a series
Recap,
overview.
as a whole. Yeah.
And how we
and
feel.
we will give our reviews. I'm going to
Yeah.
make sure that TJ's got some 10s ready.
Oh, I won't be giving it a 10. It won't be
that's what
getting
I'm saying. Well, if you let me finish my joke.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I was going to say to put with the other number that we put with the 10, with a dividing slash. But no, I agree. I think it will definitely be high numbers.
I do feel like a lot hinges on, because if they really car crash this, you've gone.
It drops into the 7s or something.
Yeah, I was about to say, you have, because like a lot of the time. So again, I'm going to bring this series up. I brought it up earlier. Stephen King's The Dark Tower series. Like the end of that, I was fucking livid.
You know they're making a TV series, that Rich?
I do indeed. Yeah, I hope it's going to be better than the fucking film, because that was god awful.
Are we going to do? Should we do an adaptation? We got to do an adaptation, right?
I'd watch
what?
We got to do an adaptation podcast on it.
For The Dark Tower?
Yeah, we got to do all warts
it.
and all, man. We got to.
Oh hell yeah!
Either rip it apart or
what, the film or the fucking
no, not
TV
fuck
show?
the film. I ain't doing the film again.
Yeah, go watch the film once and that's enough, man.
I watched half of it and I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. But no, when the TV series comes out with no knowledge, I don't want anyone to pre-watch it. Once a week, we do a podcast about the Dark Tower, just because.
I know you've actually read all the books as well, haven't you, Jay? Like I'm a fucking mega fan.
TJ looks like he has got no idea, which will be
no, I don't. Which will make actually a good juxtaposition to have people that know. Like, so I'll be going into it as a complete noob. Yes, I've seen the film, but the film, like you say, was fucking terrible. So I'll put
if
that.
you ever want to do One Direction
like,
on it,
out there, and that won't be in my thought process while I'm watching that. So it'll be interesting to get say that juxtaposition of people who know that all the source material. You know, like be that what you said about this, being able to watch the series not knowing anything that's happened.
Yeah, totally. It's the problem with being a super geek sometimes, is that like a lot of the time, like again, Jay, I'll tell you, like a film will be announced for 3 years time, and I'll be able to tell you the exact plot of the film because I've read like every comic book that it's fucking pulling from. You know, most of them are on my shelf, sort of thing. It's like it is a bit annoying sometimes. I do like to be surprised.
Well, I mean, that doesn't mean that there won't be something, because there's definitely going to be some adaptations.
2 quick other things before moving from The Dark Tower is, despite the film being shit, I did think the casting of Matthew McConaughey as the Man in Black was inspired. And now when I actually, because I do reread the source material of that pretty frequently, I do hear his voice. I think he did a good job. Just the film itself was dog shit. But yeah, it's an interesting contrast to The Last of Us, because The Dark Tower was very much about the journey. It wasn't about the end point. Like, it took me sort of 6 months for me to rationalise and realise that the end point was actually perfect for the story that they were telling. But, you know, if I'd have seen Stephen King walking down the street within the first 6 months, I'd have caved his fucking head in. I'd have killed him. Because like 15, 20 years of my life I've been reading this series. And to end it like that, you know, it took a while for it to set in. Whereas The Last of Us, I think the end very much is the fucking point of the story. While the journey is important,
isn't it? It's meant to be the
while the journey is really fucking important, I feel like the point it makes at the end is the fucking point. You know, so
we'll talk more on that next week, hopefully.
Just to quickly say, with The Dark Tower, Amazon Prime, as of the 8th of December, it was at the developmental stage. So it's not going to be out for a while.
No, it's going to be ages, but hopefully we'll still be doing the podcast.
It'd have to be the problem you've got with The Dark Tower in particular. Book 5 pulls from so many different source materials. There's, you know, there's so much shit I want to say, but I can't. But there's things from, you know, other universes, other works of fiction, that you can get away with the book that you're not going to be able to get away with that on a TV show. You're not going to be able to get away with that in a film. I'll talk to.
Castle Rock's very good if you want to sort of fill in little blanks for yourself, or at least have an idea.
That's the Stephen King town, isn't it? You've mentioned that before.
Yeah, Stephen King. It's very good.
Yes, I'm a big fan of his work as a whole, but that is by far and away, in my opinion, the greatest thing he's ever done. It's it's easily in my top sort of 5 reads of all time, and I'm quite an voracious reader.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Voracious, rather.
There's a lot to unpack in the Dark Tower, as in, I mean, was it 6 books, 7 books?
Well, it's 7 books in the main series. Then they added an extra book which goes between 4 and 5. Then there's the 5 graphic novel series which tells a very important backstory tale.
Galahad.
Yeah, the Fall of Galahad, and up to the Battle of Jericho Hill, which is like a huge pivotal moment in the history of like Roland, and the end of his first quartet when he goes off.
Behind there.
Yeah,
those comics are behind me.
Yeah.
Right, guys. I don't know if we've ever got anything more to discuss at all. Or...
I think we've kind of gone on a couple of interesting tangents.
We did.
Yeah,
but pretty much we've all come to we had a very good in-depth. Sometime, it was interesting. I think I only got heated on that one thing, but I think there was a bit of we went off on such a weird tangent. My fault, 100% my fault. That I couldn't pull back and then
come back to me, TJ.
It just didn't. It just It was just like I think we all kind of got a difference of idea of what we were trying to put across, and it just spiraled out of control. But that's the fun of it,
Yeah, it is.
That's why we do it. That's why we do it every week.
Exactly. Yeah, interesting shit, man.
Yes, always. Right, guys. So I don't know if you've got any final thoughts or anything you want to run through at all.
Just the show continues to deliver week on week. As I said, there are reservations and hesitations about the length of the last episode and whether I feel everything's going to do it justice. But as I've sort of reiterated a few times, I feel like the creative team have done more than enough to sort of earn my trust, and I'm kind of. I feel if anyone can pull it off, these guys are going to do it. Because there's been so many times that I'm just like, are you going to do this and are you going to do it well? And it's like, not only have you done it well, you did it better than the fucking game did it. So
I think we're going to have to accept. I think we're going to have to accept there is going to be X amount of Hollywood next week.
Yeah, it's the end of the series, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you've you've got to end on that high. There is.
You got to have the action crescendo, haven't you? Yeah. Before the emotional sort of.
Yeah. Exactly. You like what they're going to do. We're not going to spoil, but obviously there is going to be action. So expect that. It is the final of the series, but it should be a good ride.
Yeah.
Are they going to condense it into 43 minutes? It's a question.
I sometimes the pessimist in me gets the better of me. I feel I just the number is just the thing that worries me. We have got a slew of previous episodes where they've gone above and beyond showing how well they can tell this story, how well they can flush out the characters, how their pacing has been on point throughout. So maybe I should be less concerned than I am. But for me, this episode here was the biggest, the most key episode for me because it's my favourite part of the game and everything. And I felt if they nailed this, I can possibly, where Rich can't accept potential ending not happening, I could accept that, but I couldn't have accepted them fucking this up. Like for me, it's where me and Rich differ on that subject. Like where I said if it ended how I surmised it could, I could get over that. I couldn't get over if they fucked David up.
Fuck this. I feel that.
So for me, they've already hit a home run with this series, and I'll just accept what comes with the last, unless they fucking completely fall off a cliff, but I can't imagine that ever happening.
Yeah. You know what I said earlier about how I thought the episode would go? Look, I can just see it playing in my head. Man, what I'd love to see him do is you keep the music, but instead of the title theme, you have them traversing through the city, and as it sort of ends, you get a Last of Us title card and the draft scene.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That'd
can see
be
that.
what I would like to see. I don't think that's what we're going to see. I think it is very much what I'm going to say earlier.
No, it would be nice to see him do that, to utilize it. Like, look, we've all seen the title card a billion times. If you were to just montage them walking or
really
traveling or
that.
something.
When they put the title card at the end,
especially
when the title for the film or the series is like, is that like the last of this? The title fits the narrative so well for it to be put at the end. Like, and just have them, because like you get that silhouette of the two of them, don't you? When you've got like it's the person, isn't it? And you see all the cordyceps running through the person shape sort of thing, and then you just see them turn into two silhouettes. That's such a poignant thing. That would be quality to end, because with the last of us, the silhouette fade away. I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll just keep it as they have done for the rest. But it would be, it would be good. But like I say, nailed this episode, so I'm massively appreciative of that, and we will see in a couple of days.
Yeah, I'm hyped. I'm super hyped. There's very few occasions I'm genuinely this hyped to watch something, because there's one of the reasons I've said to Jay, and I think to yourself a lot of the times, is one of the reasons I watch more anime than anything else is like anime nails finales, whereas feel live action stuff, I've been disappointed too many times.
It's so hard, guys.
Yeah, Sopranos, Game of Thrones, like the last season of Line of Duty just ended absolute trash. And I feel really fucking personally betrayed by that, because I love Line of Duty.
Great series.
But this creative team have done enough to make me think, you're
Mother
gonna kill
of
it,
God.
Did anyone? Chernobyl, did it stick the landing?
I didn't watch Chernobyl.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yes.
Just so I know that we've got some
pedigree.
Because
that's the same, Neil
Mazin.
Was it Neil Mazin that did that?
Craig
Mazin.
Craig Mazin.
Neil Druckmann.
Yeah, and Neil Druckmann.
Or if you're American, Craig Mazin.
Craig, yeah.
Craig.
Good shit, man.
Fucking American.
So next week will be an interesting one, because I'm sure we'll go on a multitude of fucking crazy tangents. But next week will be an interesting one, because it'll be, the episode in question, and then we'll either
come in like heads down, crying like they've ruined it, or we'll be like, we'll just be spent. We'll just be like, fucking hell. Oh my God, I can't believe it.
Just like all it is 2.5 hours of
emotional
crying.
If it's bad, it'll be, hello and welcome to Opinions of the Unknown. It was shit. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I mean, I like how you changed the name of the podcast as well, but
in unison, it all comes on, and all three of us just go wank and literally smash the camera. It's like bullshit. I can't believe.
We'll just be like, I'm with Mr. Cockwomble 4000. This series is shit.
Yeah. Honestly, like fucking.
All the low reviews are taken
like
back.
this for the end of like Lost. Like I'd be trashing shit on camera, man. I'd be flipping tables and all. I think that was the start of my demise for sort of TV. That was Lost.
Richie, you're going to enjoy what I've got for Smash Brothers tomorrow so much.
Oh,
enjoy what I've got for Smash Brothers so much.
Because
Smash Brothers Brawl was released this week, and I don't know if you've seen on the internet, there's a lot of people that get very, very passionate about their losses on Smash Brothers.
Yeah, there is.
They get very. So that's a little bit of a hint for what's coming up in tomorrow's.
I've followed Smash Brothers like competitively pretty solidly for about a decade, man. So I've probably seen.
Nice.
I think we're gonna see some pretty funny shit, aren't we?
Yeah, we're gonna see some pretty fucking.
Yeah,
I love watching people rage.
Yeah, some not very happy people, and
gonna make me laugh.
Yeah, Smash Brothers is an interesting one, because there's been lots of controversy surrounding that as a community. It was a breeding ground for some quite nefarious activity.
Oh man, you hear it? A couple of them, I just not on the videos that we'll be showing tomorrow, but there's a couple of times when a guy rages, and you hear somebody go, "Dude, you do that again, you're out of the competition." And man, you think some people got real money riding on some of those things as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the prize pool. Smash Brothers has never been considered it's not elite enough. It's not Tekken Do you know what I mean? It's not CS:GO and stuff like that, but you're still talking like, you know, 6-figure fucking prize pool for winning, say, Evo or something like that. You know.
Right, we've diverged
do it as
once
a job.
again.
Yeah.
We've diverged once again. We do. It's the great fun about doing this podcast.
Man, I could talk fucking about Smash Brothers for actual days, man.
What we'll be doing tomorrow, Rich, so don't worry about it. It's coming up on the agenda. Right, kids. So this has been the Opinions of the Informed. I hope you feel that you've all been
informed.
Informed by our uninformed ramblings.
Exactly. Hope you found out something that all of us don't like, the low reviews from morons. Is basically
but even if you didn't find anything new, at least you got to speak to some spirited and passionate people.
Exactamundos. It's what we're all about, kids. It's what we're all about. Right, guys. So I have been Firefly Zero. I, of course, been joined by Rich.
Life Convoy. I'm pretty much only on Instagram. I paint models. Check me out.
Cool. And, of course, the incredible TJ.
Prop TJ on all your social media platforms. And I stream on Twitch on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
You can catch me on Twitch sometimes as well. I mean, I don't know when I show up, and I'm usually late, so don't worry about it. Anyway, kids, good night. See you later.
Let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up. I ain't never giving up. Taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you. I ain't never. So let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up. I ain't never giving up. Taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you.